goal.
He could be too far. No, he's kicking. Oh, what a catch!
Puts a spicy forehand out in front of Naomi Morcilla.
Wu for the win. Team Canada. Garrett Wu!
Santos with the layout grab.
Oh, that fantastic grab. The claws of Chaffer.
Canada just became the world champions.
Yo, Canada and the rest of the world, you're listening to Huckin podcast. I'm your host, Theo, living out in St. Catharines, Ontario, and got lots to talk about this episode. As you may have seen from the title, we're going to talk some conferences, can't call it sectionals, conferences, tournaments in the U.S. College Series, as well as C4UC and CJ4UC recaps in the news, and then we'll jump into some interviews. So got a couple players from, not the Penguins this year, the Prime Pandas, your winners in the junior division, spoiler alert. And then interview with one of the co-founders of Ninjax, Jean-Lévy Champagne as well. So that's what you got to look forward to this episode. This intro segment, gonna talk about my favorite sport, of course, other than Ultimate, which is baseball. So baseball's in full swing. And now that it's the off season, I have a lot of time to go to games, which is very exciting. And in general, it just is like the ebbs and flows of the college season. So where I'm at Brock University, there is no more games. So it's just a lot of like recap content and just kind of chilling out and getting ready for next year. So that's honestly pretty fun. It's pretty relaxing time and then getting ready for tryouts. So I'll be out there on the fields. Hopefully see you out there. Got my calendar packed. I had some friends call me out for not having a calendar, which is kind of silly. It's true. So calendar packed all the games I want to go to, like baseball wise and the tournaments. So just getting organized, adulting, as the kids say, which I should be at master's age, but that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been up to. And yeah, we've had some revolving guests and we're having some guests today. So it's not like I'm alone for the whole show, just the main event. Or just the news, I should say. I'll be flying solo. So let's jump into it. We're going to go right into the news.
We now have breaking news.
All right, so news time. So let's start with conferences. Not all the conferences took place. So the ones up in Western New York did not take place, and they'll take place next week. And then their regionals, I believe, would just be a week after that unless they move it. So due to the weather, I guess rainy fields. It has been kind of rainy out here, so they decided to move it. So we're going to start in the Greater New England. McGill Women's did not go, so it's only going to be the men's division here. So McGill, as we talked about in the last episode, have a very interesting section because they have UMass, Zudisk, Brown, and Vermont. So all teams that are honestly semis contenders, quarters at least for all three. I think two of them are even semis contenders. And so having them all in your section gives you good competition. Unfortunately, McGill only draws one of them in pool play, which is UMass. I'm trying to think now. Did they come second? Yeah, they came second at Easterns. So this is a very good team. McGill defeats Rhode Island 10-6. We're not really going to talk about that one. It's the 14-9 scoreline, so I think they would have liked it to be made potentially a bit closer because all I have is a scoreline. There was no film on it. But they got a matchup against UMass. And this is a very good team, as I mentioned. And so getting to kind of cut your teeth against them, and then 2 weeks you get to play them again is potentially good. You're going to have to knock off one of these, like one of the three big bad teams to get a bid because they only have three. So the other pool had Brown, Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. So there was a finals between UMass and Vermont with UMass winning, and then the other teams just drop into Pool C. So McGill had three other games. I think their stories disappeared, so I don't know if I can see this, but on Score Reporter, they beat Maine 15-2, and the bigger game I want to talk about is the 15-10 scoreline against Brown. So, yeah, they're within a few points, but 15-10 is still, I think, a large enough scoreline that you can't be too stoked. I'm not saying I'm not a sports bettor really, so I'm not saying put money on McGill or not, but the 15-10 scoreline doesn't necessarily invoke that much confidence. But I don't know, maybe they weren't going full out. You never know. But their first chance playing both UMass and Brown this year, looking at their schedule, they both suffer 5-point losses. So Perhaps they're looking to catch Vermont. You never know. But they're going to be one of those teams to get in. So they got 2 weeks to regroup, put their best foot forward, and see what happens. So wishing the best of luck to McGill here in the New England region. It's always a stacked region. And you can't forget Tufts and Northeastern as well, both teams that didn't earn a bid that will also be fighting those top 3 teams here. So we're going to jump across the country and we're going to go to Cascadia. Cascadia, let's start with men's because we're already there. So both UBC and UVic and UBC-B went to this tournament. So UVic and UBC somehow got matched in a pool together. And UVic comes out on top 11-10. So really exciting for UVic. I don't think they've had the best regular season in terms of some of their results. I think they would tell you that. And so getting a big W over UBC is a pretty big deal. They only won 1 game at President's Day Invite and Northwest Challenge. So to get a big W over UBC is definitely a confidence builder for them. Oregon was the top seed overall. They go 4-0. Oregon State as well went 2-0. And BYU isn't going to sectionals, so which is different than the women's division. There were some crossovers. Pool BC crossover. UBC ended up playing their B team, winning 15-6. Washington B took on UBC, and UBC won 15-3. UBC B, you're the better B team than Oregon B. We love that, winning 11-9. And then Victoria falls to Oregon State 15-9 in their matchup. So that will set up the Sunday bracket here. UVic's in the semifinals. They lose to Oregon by 4. But the big result, if you follow College Ultimate, is Oregon State not winning and getting to the final. They actually lose to the Sun Dodgers of Washington 13-11. As other people will tell you, sometimes can't take all the conference's results. You kind of have to, use a bit of a grain of salt here when you're looking at these results. But either way, Oregon State finishes 3rd, beating UVic 15-14. UBC wins out, and they play UBC-B again in the 5th place semi. They win 15-5, and then they beat Western Washington 15-9. So only 2 bids for this region. You can't forget about Utah Sting, Utah, who's also in a different section. Big Sky, I believe. They'll also be competing for bids. So there's going to be some tough sledding out here. But as I did for McGill, I wish the best of luck. Hopefully, I want to see more than one Canadian team at Nationals this year. So speaking of other teams that you'll see, this team is one of the top teams in the country, as we've heard about all year, up in the power rankings as well. So people believe that. And that's UBC. UBC also had the pleasure of playing UVic in their pool. So they don't care about country diversity here. They're just going to seed the pools the way they do. So UBC goes 2-0, 15-5 dub against UVic, and then a same scoreline against Western Washington. The big game I want to point your attention to is UVic winning 12-9 over Western Washington. So you may have recalled it's still up on the Huckin Instagram if you want to check it out. They defeated UVic, that is, defeated Western Washington for the final bid that Western Washington had earned last year. So they beat them here again at conferences. So that's going to inspire some confidence. They got 6 bids, but still. Let's get some confidence out here. Confidence meter up high. Want to give some love to UBC-B. I'm looking at this right. 13-7 W over Oregon State. I'm just going to look at their Instagram. I believe they said something about never being at conferences before. I have to double check that. But that's pretty cool result for them. Oregon State, not the same team that you see on the men's side, but still defeating a D1 school, that's a pretty big deal. So this says they're making history. USCA U sectional for the first time ever. So that's really awesome. I'm hoping that they play more of these tournaments and get that experience. So congrats to you, UBC-B. Thunder Wolves, sick name. Speaking of the Thunder Wolves, they lose to UVic 15-5 in the quarters. UVic then drops the semi to Oregon 15-7. Their tournament ends out with them getting 3rd in the section, so you gotta love that. They beat Washington Element 15-9. So Washington and Western Washington, respectively, were seated above them. So UVic coming 3rd out of the section. That will help with regional seedings and just help them perhaps get a good seed or a better seed for nationals and the road kind of starts here with what they did here at conferences. UBC not really testing the semis. They go 15-5 over Element and then beat Oregon 15-11. And so kind of just cruising to victory here. Another conferences title to add to their mantle. And we'll see how much they get tested from other teams at regionals. But Danny, maybe you're listening, maybe you're not. I don't know. But I know you're going to have the team revved up, ready to go for regionals because, we know that anything can happen. And we've seen some wacky results. I remember this is in the men's division, but Oregon one year, this was Dylan Freechild back in the day, many years ago, but remember they lost and were ended up seated 15th or something. And just really screwed everyone else over. So I think they did away with some of that stuff. So they don't have to respect these regional results. But there is some incentive still to win a regional title. You don't get a banner like you do in university college sports here in Canada. If you win, a football title, it goes up in your stadium. But you can wear that banner at someone's house, a teammate's house or something, or the coach's house. They can have a Northwest Regional Champion banner or something. But as I said, 6 bids for the Northwest. Deep Look talked about how there could be a way that BYU, that it would be really cool somehow, some way, that they get a bid on without having to play Sunday. I don't know. That would be really cool. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but it'd be really cool if they did. So that is your conferences recap. Like I said, there are other sections to be played. So Western New York, if you just click on that, you can see Carleton and Ottawa on the men's side were going. I looked at their rosters, and obviously it's not going to be the same roster that you would see in the fall. For those that don't know, this is peak exam period for these students. So not the most ideal time to go to a Frisbee tournament while trying to study and not perhaps fail your courses, or if you really want to do well, which you should, by the way, as a former teacher, I have to say that. But either way, it's not the best time. So that's why you sometimes see teams not saying their full squad. So Ottawa Carleton on the men's side, they do call it men's in the US, and then women's just as Ottawa as the 3 seed. And like I said, their tournament's pushed back a week. So no results to share from that right now. So that is conferences. In club, we know it as sectionals. Kind of fun fact also is that Ottawa men's is seeded first in this tournament over SUNY Buffalo, and the team that actually earned the bid all the way at 90 or something like that. So I actually got a chance to scrimmage SUNY Buffalo, which was really fun a couple weekends ago now. So they got one throw in particular. I wish I remembered his name, but he was slicing and dicing with some of those Oyo throws. So he was nice. But Ottawa and Carleton at this tournament as well. Okay. So now we're going to move on to C4UC. Really cool tournament. Let's talk juniors first. So 8 teams. You can check out the preview if you haven't already into kind of who the teams are. Prime Pandas going 3-0 in their pool. Their pool actually goes to seed. So Quick Orange to Quebec City. There's 2 teams split evenly, I've been told. Quick Orange and Quick Noir. So Quick Orange goes 2-1. Chain Reaction of Ontario. Durham Region goes 1-2, and Team Manitoba 0-3 to finish 4th. In Pool H, Storm out of Newfoundland. I don't know what happened there. Maybe time zone or something, but they were seeded second in the pool, and just unfortunate scores out here. I'm not going to say them for the folks at home. You can check it out, but they go 0-3. So love that they're there at this tournament, getting experience. But from a competition side of things, they weren't able to get the results that they or maybe their fans wanted. Quick Noir goes 2-1 to take second in the pool, and Canyon out of North Shore, BC, goes 1-2. So that sets up your quarterfinals that take place on Sunday morning. Nothing particularly close, folks. It's just the closest games were 6 points each. So Quick Noir beating Chain Reaction 2014 and Quick Orange beating Canyon 2014. Otherwise, the other quarters were sizable victories. So Prime Panda, Quick Noirs in one semifinal, OJ Cup, which is the team from Ottawa. They came second last year, losing the Penguins. Now they're rebranded to Pandas. I wonder what animal they're going to be next. So Quick Orange, big W. They win 18-12. You can check out that game on the live stream. Devon Esamoda, Rose Carlton. I believe Etienne Fournier as well were on the call for some of those games throughout the weekend. I got to catch glimpses of it, but as I always say, when games are being streamed, you should just go watch it. Don't just listen to me talk about it. Prime Panda, close victory over Quick Noir, 18-16. So that set them up for the final. And then I don't want to say they cruised to victory, but they do get a 19-14 win. And yeah, you're seeing the future. There's TC U20 players on both sides. So you're seeing the future of Ultimate. I know they said that on the broadcast too. But that's the future. So check it out. OJ Cup and Quick Noir go into a huge battle for third. 16-15 is the score line. Tight victory for OJ Cup. So they repeat as medalists, this time bronze. And to finish things out, Chain Reaction comes fifth, defeating Canyon. So that's your junior a recap there. Looking at Spirit scores, a couple of them aren't submitted, but a couple teams under 10. Team Manitoba Storm having the highest at 11.17. Quick Orange and Quick Noir both under 10. Quick Noir getting a 9, the lowest of the tournament. Your tournament winners, Prime Panda getting 10.17. Now moving on to seniors, there are 4 pools of 4, a good even amount for any competition director to use to seed the tournament, which is nice. And the seeding is pretty good because, let me take a look. I mean, the first 2 seeds of each pool, they get dubs. So, like, that means the seeding is pretty good. In Pool A, Yum and Bad Temperament, they go first and second, just like they were seeded. Diswalk out of Quebec, with the victory, it's actually on the live stream as well, so you can check it out. Winning 25-17 over a team from the Prairie, Saskatoon Delight. Like I said, they win 25-17, Diswalk does. Pool B also has the bottom seed getting a dub. Little Joe out of Newfoundland defeating Northern Conspiracy, which is out of the Northwest Territories. 21-27 is the score. I said it before. I'm going to say it one more time. Really, 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 really cool. I don't think people realize how, I guess I'll use the word monumental, it is to have a team for the Northwest Territories go all the way to Châteauguay, Quebec to play a tournament. C4UC. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I don't care about the results necessarily with this. It's just cool to see the representation from around Canada. Okay. Pool C goes to seed. Donnie Parton, Black Pearl, Tetraphobia, Netflix, and Chill in that order. And then Frisbees gets a little upset dub. Convincingly too over Spuds from PEI. They win 25-13. Davy Sitters and Bubs go 1 and 2 in the pool. Both teams out of Ontario. So now you got pre-quarters. If you win your pool, you're free for quarters. So just hang out because you get to watch the final games. You'll hear later in the interview, there's some scouting potentially happening, right? Because you kind of know who you might be playing based on the bracket. So you can kind of, if you want to, you can go scout. So let's take a look at pre-quarters. 3 of the 4 pre-quarters go by the way of the second seed in the pool, so the higher seed. So Sugar Mommies out of Quebec defeats Tetraphobia out of Ontario 23-17. Black Pearl out of Quebec, another home provincial squad. They beat Little Joe 28-14. Close game here. Bad Temperament stopping the Quebec run. They win 26-24 over Frisbees. And then Bubs and Disclock go at it. Disclock getting the dub 19-18. So in quarters, no real upsets. We talked about how the closest game was 6 in the junior circuit or junior side. The closest here is 8. So Davy Sitters over at Black Pearl 24-16. Otherwise, commanding victory. So Yum, Davy Sitters, Ninjax, Donnie Parton are your quarter or semifinalists, excuse me. Davy Sitters over Yum 2018. So the defending champions go down. That was my pick. They go down to Davy Sitters with some good Ottawa players. The Ottawa players win 2018. And then this one, you got to fast forward to the end because Ninjax, you hear it in the interview with Jean-Lévy, but Ninjax was up. They don't take advantage of the half. They actually go down at one point and have to score with very few seconds left. It's universe, and then they get the break to win. Like I said, watch the stream. It's really exciting ending for 4s, especially when the clock's not involved. So they scored and then the horn goes. So that way it's not like a throw before the horn type deal. It was, but it wasn't like the split second the horn went off or right before. So you actually got to play a full-out universe point. Ninjax gained the break to get the W, to go to the finals. And they take home the title, 27-21 over Babysitters, getting the 6-point victory and winning their first ever title. So congrats to you, Ninjax. Babysitters coming in second. And then Yum defeats Donnie Parton. A lot of those players obviously play together on Golden Sixers. And Yum or Rush as well. And so Yum gets the victory 24-17 to come third. So 2 Ontario teams, and then the Quebec team, of course, takes home the prize. Now, 2 Quebec teams fight off for fifth. Disclock wins 19-18 over Black Pearl. I believe Disclock was seated lower, so good victory for them. 7th place game there's no score, so can't tell you about it. Netflix and Chill out of Quebec wins over Saskatoon Delight 2019 to finish 9th. So once again, all these games are available in terms of the stream, as well as you can check the schedule out online if you feel so inclined. Okay, Spirit. I'm not going to talk too much about Spirit, but give some love to, Spirit score seemed pretty high, but Saskatoon Delight, was there any doubt? They win with 13 as their score. Couple scores below 10, 3 Quebec teams. Quebec plays potentially a different style of Ultimate, and also language maybe potentially a thing. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on why those scores are the way they are. They're also not that far from 10. It's 9.75, 9.67, 9.83. But that's just something to note. Ninjax, your winners, they finished with a 9.75. Donnie Parton, 10.80. Babysitters splitting squarely. Good job at 10. And so was Yum. So you just did what you're supposed to do, 10. So that is the recap for C4UC. Some people take it very seriously, like we talked about in the interview with Jean-Lévy. In Quebec, it's a very big deal, just the Forest Circuit. Some parts of the country, it's just a chance to play some Ultimate and hang out. So I want to see more West Coast teams potentially, because we saw Prime Pandas, but maybe some BC teams out here, Alberta. Alberta used to send some teams, Nomo, to this tournament. Love the East Coast flavor. Of course, it is a bit closer for them. It's tough to get people to fly out multiple times a year, especially if CUC is not in their backyard, to go out and do C4UC as well. So understand why this tournament had a little bit more Eastern representation. So that's a wrap for the news. Got some interviews coming up, so Prime Pandas first, and then after that, Ninjax. So stay tuned for those right after this break.
Hey, this is Jamie Boss, coach of Ottawa's Crank Mixed Ultimate, and you're listening to the Huckin podcast, your coast-to-coast guide for all things Canadian Ultimate.
All right, we got the first of 2 main events here. So we got not the Prime Penguins, it's the Prime Pandas this year. So we had the Prime Penguins on last year. We got the Prime Pandas on this year. So 2 players, Miles Wong and Lauren Szeto-Fung. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. Lauren, let's start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself, how long you've been playing Ultimate, and the teams you played for?
Awesome. I've been playing Ultimate for about 6 years now. I've played on Mischief, Eclipse, Dino. I've also played on Red Flag and TC20 Women's in 2022, and this year on the mixed team.
Cool. And Miles?
I started playing club in 2022 with Eclipse, and then played Dino this past summer, and hoping to play again this summer, as well as Team Canada mixed this year.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that I was thinking about this just now. Kind of crazy that you're both still juniors eligible and still going to be crushing out in the junior scene. So now let's get right into the tournament. Congrats, first of all, on winning. That's the second year in a row. And so we talked about this off air a little bit. Fours is different than what you usually play in Vancouver. So Lauren, can you talk about how your team prepared for playing fours compared to what you normally play over there?
Yeah, of course. I think it was a little bit of an adjustment just because oftentimes we play fives where the end zones are still quite large versus fours. It was literally like if you lie it across on the ground, it's like your body length plus maybe like half a foot or a foot. So that was a big adjustment. And just like the types of throws that you have to throw. So we worked a lot with like small spaces and just focused really on end zone work. Yeah.
Miles, did you have a lot of practices beforehand, or is it kind of like you've been mostly playing 5s and 7s over there?
We primarily played 5s and 7s before we kind of created the team, but once we put the team together, we had a couple practices in advance, more than last year, definitely, which was super helpful.
And was there like a whole tryout process at Miles, like in terms of like who was selected? It was like a whole big thing, right? Or no?
I wouldn't say it's a massive thing necessarily, but there was definitely a trial process because there was more interest than last year.
Okay, cool. So I know both of you obviously are players, not the coaches, but coaches are communicating this to you. So, Lauren, what was the kind of the game plan, the focus going into the weekend?
I think the main focus was kind of playing tight defense and watching out really for those over the top throws and just executing kind of our game plan, staying composed. Because honestly, we didn't really know what to expect going in. There's a lot of teams that we haven't played, like Quebec, who normally plays like 4s. So just kind of, keeping our composure at all times. And yeah.
Miles, anything to add there?
Definitely, as Lauren said, the athleticism component and just playing our defense like we do, I think, was a big part of it. But also ensuring that we were, executing properly, especially what we'd worked on in the systems we'd ran. And we thought that we had faith in those in order to, bring us to the wins that we had on the weekend.
So day one goes pretty well for your team. Miles, what was the messaging from the coaching staff and from the leadership after that first day?
Obviously, with the 3 wins, we're feeling good, but definitely the last game, especially, we were a little bit on the close side, cutting it close with a 1-point margin. So we definitely knew that we needed to tighten up in order to come back on the second day and be more confident in our play. So there's just a lot of ensuring that we were, as I said, executing better and sticking to our systems, as well as adjusting for their own play styles and defense sets.
Lauren, anything to add there?
No, I think Miles said it pretty well. And just kind of, even when we were down, there was points where we had a bigger gap and then we kind of let up a little bit just to keep pushing through and just being strategic with the time and just, really focusing on possession kind of thing.
And that's probably something a little bit different for you both as well, because 4s, there has that like hard cap whistle that happens, the horn. So it potentially throws some things off there. So that's good to hear. And so now let's talk about the finals. Your quarters goes pretty well for you. So let's talk about the finals. Did anything change from the first time you played this Quebec team?
I think definitely on the second time through, we were more aware that, especially them having 2 teams, they would have a little bit more intel on us and our strategies. So we had to make sure that we even adapted our own small changes within our end zone to make sure that we could still play through it. And I think we were just a lot more on our own execution and systems as well, which was super helpful.
Yeah, and also I think the first time we played them, we kind of were struggling a lot with their inside throws and their over the tops, just because we were wrapping a lot. But I think just having more of a flat mark really kind of shut down those inside throws that were allowing them to kind of break our marks.
All right. So, I mean, undefeated on the weekend, so got to be feeling pretty good. In terms of your futures, I don't want to speak teams into your existence, but Miles, what are your plans as a player? What can we hear, or where are we going to see Miles Wong moving forward?
As of right now, hopefully Dino in the summer, obviously, and I also have trying out with the process of Pure Storage, obviously, and Red Flag for this upcoming summer, as well as U20s with TC on mixed. And then after that, I'm not really sure post-secondary yet, but UBC is looking like the best option for Frisbee if I get in.
So, okay, so you got to admit to us right now, are you choosing your university location choice based on Frisbee? You're going to be straight up about that.
I mean, I'd rather just get in first and then do what we do after. But between a couple of my top choices, I'm like leaning towards the UBC side, mostly because of Frisbee. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's a big thing in the States. A lot of kids pick their college based on Ultimate. So I could see that also happening over here. Lauren, what about you?
For in the future, I plan to hopefully play like adult club or continue playing adult club. And then for university wise, I am also similar position as Miles, waiting on UBC. If I am able to get in, then I would like to play Frisbee for that team. But it's, just a waiting process right now.
Yeah, UBC admissions. Let's get these two people in so that they can play more Frisbee over there. Okay, so I don't think they'll listen to the podcast, but one can dream. So obviously you didn't do it just you two. You have a bunch of teammates. So throwing you ad lib question. Some teammate shout outs. Can we do some teammate shout outs before we sign off on the podcast here?
Rex, first of all, for just being an absolute stud on the field at all times, hitting every shot possible and getting open for free. And then also give one to Eli for just going God mode in finals and hitting every single break shot you never knew existed.
Yeah, I agree with Miles with those two shout outs. I also like to put in Jaylee out there because I think she really brought the intensity both on offense and defense, as well as Nina, who really pushed herself to play tight defense. And even though she was all scraped up, she still continued to play hard. So
Cool. Appreciate that. Always love to give some appreciation to our teammates as well. So Miles, Lauren, any final words, thoughts, questions, anything you have for the Huckin audience here?
I don't know, not much from our end. We'll be back in the summer, hopefully. Close it all off.
Yeah, both of you trying to seal out your junior careers with victory. So you heard it here first. Teams are going to be gunning for you. So, keep an eye out for these two players. Definitely part of the great future here in Canada. So, Miles and Lauren, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having
us.
Okay, and stay tuned. Main event part 2 coming up. Jean-Lévy Champagne from Ninjax going to come on the podcast to talk about their win at C4UC. So stay tuned for that after the break. Welcome to the second part of our main event. We're talking C4UC. We're with the founder, right? Founder? Captain?
Co-founder.
Captain. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, of Ninjax, a legendary forest program out in Quebec. Jean-Lévy Champagne, excuse my anglophonization of your name, but Jean-Lévy, how you doing? This is the second time on the show.
Second time on the show, always to talk about 4-4. Really happy to be here with you, Theo.
Yeah, so Ninjax, I've heard of this team before. We've talked about them a little bit. How long has Ninjax been around? Tell us kind of the history of Ninjax.
The first year of Ninjax was 2008. It's my good friend Claudie Turcotte, our leader, that put the team together. She wanted to play with friends. 4-4. The 4-4 circuit was starting in Quebec, so it was the first year that it was official under the PSO. So she came to my house. We talked, we drank, and we chose a name. And we chose it was going to be Ninja with an X, just to put a little spice on it. So it became Ninjax. Funny enough, we all came from the same neighborhood. We all lived in the same neighborhood in Montreal, which was Hochelaga Maisonneuve. It will be later on the story, but everyone except one guy was from Saguenay, which is a 4-hour drive. He was a friend of Claudie, so we started the first year in 2008 like that.
Yeah, and you did pretty well at. We're jumping years to 2024. Quebec has a very unique forest series. I've talked about this on the podcast before. It's very intense. Lots of teams like. Mars Attack is a big tournament. There's another one too, right? Bonani or something?
There's 4 big tournaments in Quebec, the 4th tournament of the series. And there's medium-sized tournament, like Bonane is a medium-sized. The 4 big one are the Char de Poule in November, and then the Bye-Bye in December. After that, there's the Coup de Foudre in Sherbrooke, and the Mars Attack is the final one in Quebec.
So how did the team prepare for this tournament throughout the season? So you're playing the whole series, right?
Yeah. We played the All Series, the 4 tournaments. The 3 first tournament serves you as a seeding for the last tournament, the Mars Attack. They take two out of the best result, and they seed you like that. So we played all the 4 tournaments. Not everyone. We have kids. We have other superhero issue with our life. So people are missing. There's a lot of couples in their team as well. We had 16 players playing overall the season. So that's how we prepared. We had a good season. 2024 was 23-24 was a good season for Ninjax as well.
So you have 16 players. Did you bring all 16 to this tournament? Or you got to make some cuts out here?
Well, no, the cuts were made by itself. Iris has a weekend practice, so we were missing the ensage as well. Other life issue, I guess. So we only had 5 players that could play. So we called some friends and people applied for the team. And we didn't cut anyone for sure, but and people showed up and we said, yeah, come play with us. So we began the tournament at 11 players, and one of our players didn't feel good, so she couldn't be there on the Sunday.
Okay, so you're going low numbers here, but this is a side note. How did you recruit someone from the Belgian scene? You got to tell us that story.
So Toby is a new player on the Royal. So he just wrote to me and said, hey, can I play? I want to play. I guess he wants to see more reps. He knew we were going to national. He just wrote to me and say, can I play? Can I join? And so we just said, yeah, jump in. You're going to be the 6th guy on the team. So we were going with the 6 open player and 5 female player.
Yeah, I don't know how much 4s there is in Europe. Is that a big thing over there? I know they do the indoor with like on the hard court, but I don't know about the 4s.
They don't do 4s. They do 5-on-5 on handball court, so it's much bigger. So he never played 4. First day was not his best day, I guess. He needed to learn. Same thing happened to a lot of players. Danny Saunders from Ultimate Canada played way back in 2010 with Ninjax. His Saturday wasn't that good. He threw a lot of frisbees in the nets, way too high. But then he got better on the Sunday for sure.
Yeah, if you don't watch out, you're going to be hucking things out of the end zone. So you got to be careful there. You have a lot of new players, like you just said. So did you have a game plan as a team? Like, was there any discussions about that? Just because you're newer playing together, you haven't all played, the same tournament at the same time.
Well, Zachary Massy had played at the beginning of the year with us, and he started with me and Christian Mathieu learning him how to throw when he was 14 years old. Same thing for his sister when she was 12 years old, Anushka Baudry. So Anushka played with Odyssey when she was 15 or 16. Oh, wow. So they all know how we play Ninjax. We move the disc very fast. We don't look of any players. We just move the disc, go up the line. That's our offensive style. Defensive style, we're really, really creative in our defensive style. We're throwing backhand, middle, flick. We have 2 zones that we play on 4-4. So we're throwing a lot of things at the other teams so that they never know what's coming from them. We're sharing a lot with the boys and the girls on the field, just switching players. But it's a build on for sure. Like from the first game of the tournament till the last game of the tournament, we're a way better team. So we know each other more. We learn. It's a journey. Every tournament is a journey, and that was part of the journey. That they just jump along the train and moved along. So yeah.
Yeah, the train was rolling on day one, going 3-0. So you go back to your hotel B&B wherever you're staying, or maybe at home. What's kind of the messaging? What's kind of the messaging to the team, if any at all?
Well, I've used the train for the team as well, saying that we are a train without any drivers, and we're just going through a storm, and we're just getting faster and faster, and that's our mentality that was on the field. Saturday we played 3 3 team. We had a first competitor with Sugar Mommy that we've crossed against. We've played against every tournament against them, so we know them pretty well. That was a good game to get us ready for the Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we did our scouting report, trying to know what the other team were doing. We tried to stop them by matching some players against them or switching our defense to back shoulder instead of being no-in on a different player. But all went well. Yeah, good games for sure. Good competition as well, I must say. Every team was super spirited, and there was some good competition out there. Shout out to Little Joe. They were all 19 years old. We were all 43 years old. Not all of them, not all of us, but a lot of young players, and they were really good, really speedy. I got skied so much during that game. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's no C4UC Masters right now, unfortunately. So
no, so good.
Yeah, you're still playing with the adults. It's good. So tell us about the semis. It's on the stream if you want to watch it. Ultimate Canada's YouTube page, folks, if you want to go check it out. Spoiler alert, it's a universe point game, so it's always spicy in 4s, especially when there's like the horn and stuff. So tell us from your perspective how the game went.
I think we broke on the first defensive set. We took the disc back and we scored. After that, it was on serve all the game until the halftime. It's normally we play in Quebec that the half is at 9. Ultimate Canada played with a halftime on time at 24 minutes. We didn't know we had possession of the disc. We didn't try to score. So we lose our advantage of breaking them early. So it's back on serve all game, perfect offense from both sides. We lose the disc twice in the last 10 minutes, so we're down by 2 break. So we put a line on. We made the D. Not much time left. There was a pick call. There was 20 seconds left, so we got the score on. 20 seconds left on the scoreboard. So we knew that we were going universe. So we just took time, both teams, to call our line, hear the horn go and say, let's go, we're universe now. We followed our team strategy. Anushka did a nice push mark on the handler that had the disc. I was poaching maybe a bit in the lane or in the break IO. Got the D, and we went and score just like that. Happy feelings for sure. But it was a good fight from the Toronto team for sure. They were really good players, very talented. Hard to stop those funky throws that Nick Boucher was throwing, Mike McKenzie, and I don't know her first name, but G from the Toronto team was also a really
Win G.
Yes. Yeah. Good throws.
Yeah, good shout outs there. So then you go on to in the finals to take on another Ontario team. This score not as close. You win by 6 by the score sheet I'm looking at here. So, I mean, people that play 4s, they know, when the breaks, sometimes they can go on a little break train, but it is tough to break people, especially in 4s. So how'd you get such a big lead and eventually win by that large score margin?
It wasn't like that in the first half for sure. We've played Davy Setters for a long time. They play in the Quebec circuit as well, so we know them. We know Alec Arsenault. We know everyone what they can do. So again, it was a tie game, and at some point, I think it was we took a timeout and then we rolled, but the score doesn't represent like the first 3/4 of the game for sure. They were like, it was a tie game. It was hard to get the disc back from them, but we just kept rolling and we took advantage. They told us that after the game, but when we get the disc back, we tried not to give it back. So we kept possession of the disc, making quick throws to the break side, and yeah. That's how we won, but it was a really hard fought game for them for sure.
Is this your first C4? I should have done my research here, but is this your first C4UC title as Ninjax? Is that program?
It was our second participation. We went there. I don't know when, but one time we went when it was in Lachine in Montreal. It's our second time that we participate. So yeah, first time on the trophy for sure, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah. And, I wish we could have done a French portion. Like I've said multiple times, I cannot speak French, but is there maybe like a short French message you can say to the people on Ninjax or people back home, just what this victory means to you and your team?
Well, merci à tous nos supporters, merci aux petits ninjas qui suivent le club également. Là. Notre but, c'est d'inspirer les jeunes à faire du sport. Donc, merci à tous les futurs Ninjax. Just to repeat to you in English, Theo. So when I said everyone was from the same neighborhood, all the adults, at some point I started a junior club in Montreal, and then I didn't have a name, but it was from that neighborhood. So I asked Claudie Turcotte, the founder of the club, can we take the Ninjax name and give it to the kid clubs? Obviously, she said yes. So there's been 300 small Ninjax that have played Frisbee now in Hochelaga Maison. They're from 6 to 13 years old. They're all wearing the Ninjax jersey really proudly. That's the Olympic Stadium right there. That's where our neighborhood is. So Ninjax is not just the old people. Some people don't know that we played Ninjax for 16 years before now. They only know that it's a junior club in Montreal with a lot of kids playing Ninjax. But shout out to them, to those kids, the juniors. I'm really proud of what's coming on, all the junior program that is growing in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, everywhere. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, hey, this is unexpected. This was a 4 segment. Now it turned on to like a junior segment, which is great because there was OJ4UC, and that was in the first part of the main event, folks. If you tuned into that, talking to the winners there. But any other like in terms of growth, is Ninjax going to continue to do those junior programs? That's something that you're going to continue to do into the future?
For sure. Ninjax will never stop. We're going to be in the nightmares of every opponent we ever had, but we're not leaving. So yeah, Ninjax is growing really big. We're growing. We're at the U16 division this summer for the first time. We were U15 during the winter on 4s. Now we're moving to 5-on-5, U16, and we're going to grow until U19 and some as the master's program has joined the Ninjax Ultimate MHM Club as well. So it's a growing program, and we're gonna keep doing that. We're going into a sports study program as well next year, September 2024. There's gonna be school in the morning and Ultimate Frisbee in the afternoon. I think we're the first program in Canada to do that. So it's gonna.
That's in the schools.
Yes.
Okay.
Not just so all the afternoon after 1 o'clock you play Frisbee every day. So it's starting in September 2024. So that's a new program. Very proud of that. We're creative. We're testing new things, trying new things. But yeah, juniors and Ninjax are going to be around for a while, for sure.
Yeah. So not just a 4s team. That's what you learned today. Any final thoughts? I'm going to actually put you. He didn't know this was going to happen, but subscriber only after this episode, we're going to drop and have Jean-Lévy talk about building programs because obviously he's helped build some programs in his day as a pioneer in Ultimate. So we'll have him chat a little bit about that. But kind of on the main segment here, any final thoughts you have for the audience?
The junior, I would have liked to play against the junior. They were good. That Pride team from BC, there was some players that, wow, some speed, some throws, like what's coming. Like you're gonna talk about it, but that final between Quick and Pride from Vancouver was very, very good, intense. The parents were there cheering up. So yeah, 4s is cool. Everyone should get onto it and play 4-on-4. See you there next year.
That's your mandate right now is go play 4s out here. So that actually ends the episode for today. Like I said, join the subscriber only, and Jean-Lévy will talk about building programs, which is really cool. When the episode next airs, you'll hear about some more college action. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for coming on today, Jean-Lévy. We're going to end the show here and say peace to our audience. Thank you.
Peace.